Good morning, Richa ma'am.
Hello, good morning.
With your
I was
permission,
supposed to be on campus but could not reach because of the huge traffic jam.
yeah, I know, ma'am. And in fact, we are privileged that you are with us. So your presence is enough to get our work done and even for the participants to get motivated. With your permission, I'd like to start the session.
Yes, please start. Yeah, go
Thank
ahead.
you so much, ma'am. So a very warm good morning to everyone. I, Dr. Manisha Srivastava, on behalf of Team CIBMIT, welcome you to day 2. And in our HR track, we have our esteemed panelist and guest, Dr. Richa Chaudhary, and who was supposed to be here with us, but because of some unavoidable reasons, Madam has not been able to make it physically, but she is with us online and we are graced by your presence, ma'am. So let us have a look to the incredible journey that ma'am has actually, ma'am has ma'am has done as a notable academician and a distinguished researcher. So Vishal, could you play the video profile of ma'am?
Dr. Richa Chaudhary is an associate professor and head of Department of Humanities and Social Science at IIT Patna. She obtained her PhD from Department of Management Studies, IIT Roorkee, and holds an MBA with specialization in human resource management. She has done her bachelor's in science in education from Regional Institute of Education, Ajmer, and was awarded with the Best Outstanding Student Award for all her 4 years. She teaches courses on research methodology, human resource management, organizational behavior, entrepreneurship, business ethics, and industrial and organization psychology. She is a prolific researcher and has published a number of research papers in international journals of repute like Journal of Business Ethics, International Journal of Hospitality Management, Personality and Individual Differences, International Journal of Human Resource Management, International Journal of Conflict Management, Personal Review, Journal of Cleaner Production, etc. She has presented her work in national and international conferences of reputes such as Academy of Management, Annual Meeting Organizational Studies, PAN-IIM, Glow Gift, and has number of Best Research Papers Award on her credit. She has been ranked amongst top 2% scientists in the world by Stanford University consistently for year 2020, 2021, and 2022. She has worked as principal director on a number of government projects sponsored by ICSSR and MHRD. She is a regular reviewer of many international journals of repute. She has conducted a number of workshops and short-term courses on research methodology, data analysis. Her current research interviews includes green human resource management, corporate social responsibility, sustainability, workplace incivility, and workplace loneliness. Ma'am, MIT Patna welcomes you.
Welcome, ma'am, once again. And thank you, Vishal. In fact, your prolific expertise in human resource and research methodology is indeed going to help our participants. But before we start the session, I would like to share some details for the participants to understand the marking schema well. The total time allotted to each participant is 10 minutes. Full marks is 10 marks. Risha ma'am will be marking you on some parameters like the rationale of the study, objective, literature review, research methodology, and the findings. The buzzer will ring at exact 8 minutes as a reminder, and then at the 10 minute, I hope the rules are clear to everyone. All the best to all the participants, and we will start our first presentation on artificial intelligence in talent acquisition, a comparative study, and the presenters are Aparna Anup, Devika S. Kumar, Gopika S. and Vandana Mahadevan. All the best to all the presenters. Thank you. Are the presenters here? Aparna, Anup, Devika S. Kumar, Gopika Mahadevan. If you are here, please unmute yourself. Yes, please. I think the presenters are not here. So should we proceed with the second presentation? So the next, influencing the acceptance of artificial intelligence technology in the recruitment process of HRM in India. And the presenter is Mahima Kapoor. So Mahima, welcome for the presentation.
Good morning, ma'am. The topic of my research paper. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
The topic of my research paper is a study on contemporary factors influencing acceptance of artificial intelligence, technology and recruitment process of HRM in India. Introduction part, I have mentioned that in today's rapidly evolving digital landscape, the organization are increasingly turning into artificial intelligence technology to streamline and enhance various business functions, including HRM. The term artificial intelligence refers to the skills applied to accomplish tasks that need to be contributed to certain level of intellect to be achieved. In this paper, I have adapted the UTAUT, Unified Theory of Acceptance Use of Technology, which was proposed by Venkatesh in 2003 from the performance perspective of the recruiters. The application of UTAT in this study contributes to the rising literature on AI acceptance and recruitment from the outlook of human resource professionals. Next slide. In the literature review part, the literature on AI implementation in HRM underscores the significance of several key factors that influence the technology acceptance. HR professionals and that also improves the overall employee experience. AI tools help in recruitment in scanning, screening, selecting the candidates, planning, scheduling, organizing the onboarding activities of new hires. To support this, I have quoted Rajiv Bharadwaj in 2019 stated that AI tools can predict employee requirements in an organization and can retention of the employees. The application of UTAT in this study contributes to the rising literature on AI acceptance and recruitment. From the outlook of HR professionals, it applies to the new technology assessment model to field of recruitment and selection, which both theoretical and has practical implications. This is the conceptual framework which I have taken in my paper. There are 4 variables: performance expectancy, effort expectancy, social influence, and facilitating conditions. Other variables which affect our gender, age, demographic factors, basically, experience and voluntariness of uses, which directly affects the behavioral intention and the use behavior from the HR side. My research objective was to find the recruiter's performance expectation, use of AI in recruitment, and associate with the social intent to practice them. Secondly, social influence is significantly related to the behavioral intention to use AI tool in recruitment. Thirdly, to suggest that when facility conditions are present, recruiters are more likely to intend to adopt in future. The methodology involved in this paper was study employs a mixed method approach combining qualitative interviews and quantitative surveys. Semi-structured interviews were conducted with HR professionals, hiring managers, employees that were involved in the recruitment activities across the country. Data sampling was, primary data was collected in January 2024 using a self-management questionnaire distributed through Google Forms. The response which I got was around 82 out of 108 circulated questionnaire, which was around 76%. This was a demographic analysis. I have got response from 18 cities through the HR professionals. My findings were against each variables, like the quantitative approach was analyzed in Microsoft Excel, used to examine the relationship between the studied components of UT, performance expectancy, employer effort, social influence, and moderating factors that affect the behavioral intentions to use AI in recruitment. Under each variable, 3 different questions were asked. Firstly, in performance expectancy, I got around 49% positive response that the employees agreed the system they were able to use were very friendly and quick. And HR professional also agreed that the use of AI will help to be useful in their jobs. In effort expectancy, the respondents were asked 3 questions again. Firstly, 49% agreed that the intention with the system was clear. Secondly, 48% around respondents agreed that it was easy for them to become skillful while using the system, and 43% agreed that it was easy to use the system. In the third social influence variable, the respondents were asked again to fill the questions in three different parameters. The first question was in which they responded. 48% of them agreed that people who influence their behavior think that they should use the system. Whereas 54% of the respondents agreed that important people think that they should use the system. It is very empirical to use the system nowadays, which would affect them in the recruitment process. And 79% of the respondents agreed that the organization has supported them to use the system. Lastly, was the facilitating conditions. Again, the respondents were asked 3 questions, and out of which 82% respondents agreed that they have the knowledge to use the system. And in the last question, they answered only 27% said that they were apprehensive about using the system. Conclusion and limitations. AI effectively holds the potential to reform the way organizations attract, assess, and onboard the talent, driving competitive advantage and sustainable growth in digital era. Social influence is significantly related to the behavioral intention to use AI in recruitment. The limitation of my study was that I have used the basic UTAT model. Therefore, additional variables can be added in future studies, like 3 other variables have been added in UTAT too. For future, I might be using that. And it covers only 18 cities of India. So in future, I may be taking other. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mahima. So are there any questions from the audience?
Ma'am, the dais is all yours. So Mahima is there. You can ask the questions.
If there are no questions from the audience, I have some questions. Mahima, you said that you made use of mixed methodology, right, in your research. So, but the results that you presented that only talked about the quantitative results. Can you hear me, Mahima?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So you heard my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you hear my question? I asked you a question that you said that you made use of mixed methodology, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But the results that you presented, that only you only showed the quantitative part of it. Can you please explain how
Ma'am,
you
there's
use
a
the mixed
network
methodology?
issue. I cannot hear your question, ma'am. There's a network issue. Your voice is breaking, ma'am.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So you said you made use of the mixed methodology in your research, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But the results that we saw on your slides, that were only quantitative in nature, wherein you just described the percentage of participants who believe that, effort or performance expectancy will, how many of them believe that it will lead to increased performance or increased ease of usage, etc., right? So so where is the qualitative part of your analysis?
Ma'am, that I've done in my paper because we had to present in a very short slide, given only appropriate time to present.
That's okay. But in the quantitative part also, you have not shown your main results. You have just described the percentage of people who believe in some of your, yeah, can you go back to your model, please? That will help me to, your slide number 4, yeah. So here you started with this particular model, but you have not presented the, the analysis or the results where you have tested this particular model. Just describing the percentages is not enough. So where is the linkage between performance expectancy and behavioral intention and then use behavior? So this has to be quantitatively verified. So where are those results?
Ma'am, that I will add in future, ma'am. I'll do that, ma'am.
So what method you have used to test this particular model? Because it involves mediating variable, it involves control variables. So what technique you have used to test this particular model?
Ma'am, I have analyzed in Excel, Microsoft Excel directly. And the previous analysis, which was present in the research papers that I have read.
So Excel is a tool. I'm talking about what technique you have used.
Descriptive, ma'am.
Descriptive is not enough to test this particular model. Only the descriptive part you have mentioned in your results, that just the percentage wise analysis of percentage of people who said this and that, but that's not the way you test a model, right? You need to go for either structural equation modeling or regression, whatever suits the data that you have collected, right?
Yes,
Because so you started with certain objectives, so your tools should be appropriate to your research questions.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Any other question from the participant, the audience here?
Ma'am, the question you have asked Mahima is going to help her write a better paper. Obviously, she is looking for a focused publication.
She is in
So,
which year of her PhD?
yeah, sure. That's why I also said her that please gain through the ma'am's insight and it will help you to write a paper in future. So if she would have used some analysis and then she would have come up with the findings and limitations, so it had been a very substantial paper. But
Yeah.
then because she has just used the descriptive, so there is still a lot of learning left for Mahima. Thank you so much for enlightening her, and I think she will incorporate that in her paper.
Yes, can we go to the next paper, please?
Yeah, sure. So, Dr. Kanika Gupta, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here. I'll present Dr. Priyanka.
Okay. So we are now going to have a presentation on bridging traditions with modernity, the relevance of Bharatiya model of leadership Sarthi in business and technology, and the presenter is Dr. Priyanka Rana, Dr. Monica Agrawal, and Kanika Gupta. I think Dr. Priyanka is going to present on behalf of other presenters.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be presenting on the behalf of others.
All the best.
Thank you
Dr.
so much.
Priyanka.
Yeah. Good morning, one and all present. I am Dr. Priyanka, and I'll be presenting the paper on behalf of my co-authors. And the title of the paper is Bridging Traditions with Modernity, the Relevance of Bharatiya Model of Leadership, Sarathi in Business and Technology. Like what this word Sarathi is, we have incorporated it from Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna has told Arjuna to, deal with the battlefield and go ahead with everything what he'll tell him. So it is what concept we have tried to come up with is we have this most ancient concept of leadership with us, and now we are going along with the modern concepts, leaving it behind. But this concept is today in itself also a one and all whole concept which can or which will replace the modern concepts if we'll go through or if we'll adopt this concept properly. Now, what this Sarathi is, it is a Bharatiya model, first of all, and we are proud of it that we are having something on our own. It is what Lord Krishna has told to Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And we are treating or we are considering it as inspiring and empowering, because at every stage of our life and at every stage of our workplace, this model, if we'll adopt, if we'll incorporate in our lives, so it will inspire us and it will empower us also to go through or to fight any battle that we are facing in the terms of stress, depression, or work pressure, or loneliness, we'll say, in the workplace. And if we'll have a leader who is having this Sarathi qualities within himself or herself, then he will for sure will lead his team in a better way, and that will take everything in a good pace to go ahead. This model illustrates the management wisdom from Bhagavad Gita for today's leaders and managers, and in present contemporary scenarios, the leaders and managers are required to become Sarathi for their organization. This Sarathi is basically S is strategist, A is active listener, R is resilient, A is agile, T is a team player, and H or I stands for that a person or a leader should have humility and integrity in himself. Then only he'll be able to guide his team or her team in a way that they all together as a team will go ahead and achieve the goal or the result that is desired. For strategist, a leader has, it is strategist leader design organizational structures, and he allot resources and manifest strategic vision. Active listener leader listens to people with great attention and sincerity. For resilient, it is leaders are able to survive their spirit under pressure to cope with detrimental changes and adapt. Agile means the leader will inspire others to grow along with them. And as a team player, he should provide clear, understandable goals, tasks, and other organizational expectations to the team. And he being having humility and integrity, he should have the courage to admit when he doesn't know anything, and he should be open to learn from others. And as integrity part, a leader inspires with his principles without compromising. And this is if a person has all this. In fact, we all in our normal life also, if we'll go through, if we'll adopt these qualities, then we will become a leader in one way or the other in our normal lives as well. And this is the concept that we have, like I said earlier, we have derived from the Bhagavad Gita, and it will every time or in every way will help all those who will inculcate in their lifestyle this model or this concept. Now, who is a Sarathi? Sarathi is a charioteer and advisor to the Arjuna, who the Krishna, Lord Krishna was there. He is expertise in chariot driving. As we say that preach what you practice. So first is the Sarathi is renowned for his skill in driving a chariot. He can navigate through difficult terrain, including battlefields, with ease. And he being loyal, he like Sarathi was fiercely loyal to Arjuna and is willingly to do whatever it takes to help him achieve his goals. And in wisdom, Sarathi is not only an expert in chariot driving, but also a wise and knowledgeable advisor. He can offer Arjuna with the guidance and support in matters beyond the battlefield. So this was all about my paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyanka. Ma'am,
Yeah.
Richa ma'am?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Priyanka.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Any questions from the audience here?
Any questions from the audience? Okay, well, Aparna wants to know what was the research objective. Dr. Priyanka,
Yeah,
Aparna Gaur ma'am wants to know what
it is, we have
was
not done any
the
research, but
research
we have come with the objective that it is we ourselves have our own native, our own national, our
Hello?
own Hindu concept of leadership, and we now we are diverting, we are deviating towards the modern concepts of leadership. But if we'll stick to this basic concept of leadership, then we'll prove to be a good leader in all the ways. This is the objective that we have come with this concept, and we think that this concept, if chosen practically or adopt practically by all the persons who are in the corporate world or in the political world itself, then the world or the India will move to the new direction with this leadership.
Yes, any other question from the audience?
Leadership. She has given a notion, an Indian notion to the theory of leadership, and this is what I think that Dr. Priyanka wanted to convey.
Exactly, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Richa ma'am.
Yeah, Dr. Priyanka, your paper very well aligns with the theme of our conference.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So how do you plan to extend your research? Because as I can see, this paper is at this particular level is just a conceptual analysis where you have tried to link the concept of Sarathi from Gita to leadership, right? So how do you plan to extend your work in future?
It is now we are planning this is the very initial stage of our concept that we came up with. Now we are planning to evaluate the leaders that we already have in our corporate world to find out what all qualities of Sarathi they have with themselves. And and eventually or gradually we'll come up with the concept that what I'm trying to say is everyone is having one or all the qualities of this Sarathi concept only, and it is not we are aligned to the modern concepts of leadership like authoritative, participative, or all the types of leadership. It is they are having this somewhere hidden in them, or it's somewhere it is quite quite visible that they are having this. Once we'll go through the nature or the leadership qualities of the corporate of the renowned corporate leaders that we have today, so eventually and gradually we will prove that this is the base, or this is the role where all are standing and all are playing their performances.
So you must be aware of some of the contemporary leadership models such as resilient leadership or authentic leadership, as you talked about the components of integrity, resilience and all.
Yes, ma'am.
So clearly one can see an overlap between the model that you have proposed and some of the current models of leadership.
Yes, ma'am.
So how do you plan to establish the discriminant validity of this particular model over all the existing models, because it borrows the components from some or the other theory of leadership?
No, like you are saying, it is borrowing the components of the contemporary leadership styles. But what we as the team are trying to say, it is these contemporary styles have been borrowed from this model or from this concept of Gita.
Okay, okay. Thank you. All the best for your research.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Priyanka. And in fact, Sarathi has become a synonym for a good leader. Yeah. So it's not a driver anymore of the chariot, rather it's a leader who shows direction. Exactly. So all the best, as ma'am has said, please continue with your research. Obviously, ma'am's insight will help you, because she has says, please go for the discriminant analysis. That will surely help your research.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you all.
So, ma'am, with your permission, let us move to the next presentation.
Yes, please.
The next presentation is of Merki Fekadu and Nidhi Walia. Are the presenters here? Please let me know. Nidhi Walia and Merki Fekadu. Are you both here? Okay, so let us proceed with the next presentation, that is of Doyle Datta. Doyle Datta, I can see you. You are here, so you can unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am, I'm
And
here.
the topic, yeah, okay, ma'am. So, and the topic of presentation is empowering the elderly community in India, exploring the role of mobile apps in cultivating self-dependence. So, all the best, Doyle ma'am. Please start your presentation.
Doyle, please unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Doyle Datta, please unmute yourself.
Now am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. My topic is empowering elderly community in India, exploring the role of mobile apps in cultivating self-dependence. I am a PhD scholar from Adams University, Kolkata. So basically, as I introduce the topic, I would say that we all have seen that senior citizens have their own problems in our country, and many of them are staying away from family as children are either settled abroad or they are in some other cities because of various reasons. In such a situation, most of the senior citizens face many difficulties to manage their day-to-day affairs, and one more challenge which they are facing regularly is social isolation because of age the health condition is affected, and because of that dynamism is also affected. So moving around and going somewhere and interacting and socializing with their peer groups or family itself is a family. On the other hand, managing day-to-day affected, like facing the essential goods like groceries and everything, and managing the other tasks are also becoming a problem gradually. On the other hand, mobile apps have become an integral part of our regular life. Now, with a click, we can accomplish many big things, which was actually a dream earlier. But the problem is, senior citizens are not yet very techno savvy. They are still far away from this digital revolution. So, my attempt is to find out whether they can come out of the mental apprehension which they're having, that technology is not something which they can use, and which they can get familiar with, and which they can adapt as a part of their life. So can it become a part of their life, and can it address the issues or challenges they're facing in their regular life? As far as literature review is concerned, it was not possible to get many papers as the area itself is very new. Not many senior citizens use mobile apps or technology for that matter. I reviewed 10 papers from all over the world, and only one Indian paper was found. That was from Central University, Orissa. But the paper is mainly focused on the usability pattern, like how they are using the apps, and whether they are able to use it with ease, or whether they are facing any problems or challenges in using it, and what are the difficulties they are facing, how that can be adapted. Some paper address the technical issues like how mobile apps can be made more user friendly, so that senior citizens can use that properly. But mine was a little different take. Mine was an attempt to explore whether it can be a companion for the seniors to address their day-to-day challenges. Here are three objectives. To understand the mobile app using patterns of the senior citizens, to learn about their motivations for using the apps, or to find out whether mobile apps can help to meet their challenges of everyday life. As far as methodology is concerned, it was a qualitative design that is followed. 40 respondents were interviewed, 20 men and 20 women. Out of those 20 women, 20 were housewives and 20 were retired working professionals. They were from the age group of 60 to 75, and a convenience sampling method was used. And the parameter for that convenience was the habit of using mobile app, and the data was codified for final analysis. Here are the findings. I have presented quite briefly because there is a time limit. In my paper, I have given everything in details, exact numbers of the respondents who reacted in what way. WhatsApp has already become an integral part of the lives of the senior citizens, and the motivations which they have given are connectivity and information in the sense they can stay updated, like how their family members are who are settled abroad or geographically far away, and even with their peer groups. And again, another thing is it helps them in many ways, like there is a senior lady who doesn't know how to operate these gas pipes, so she can easily make a video call and she can learn from her daughter or daughter-in-law or sister for that matter how to operate it. So this kind of things are there. So the main two reasons for using WhatsApp are connectivity and info about peer groups and family. And banking app, which is another type of app which is mostly used by the senior citizens. But the interesting fact is most of the seniors, they are just checking the status, the balance, and the transaction details. They are not into online FD or online transactions or NIFT. They are a little apprehensive about it. They are a little tense, like whether it will be properly managed or properly done. And not everyone out of 40, if I can remember, only 22 use UPI, that too not regularly, only when it is required. And shopping apps like Big Basket is very popular, are regularly used. And there are some who are using Amazon and Myntra. Amazon is mostly popular among men. They are using it for book purchase and that kind of purchases. And women are into Myntra, but that also not very. Only 7 women said they are into Myntra, and out of that 7 women, only 2 were housewives. So they are into Myntra. And yes, there were 3 who said Misho also. And other apps like travel app, they are now depending on travel apps for booking tickets. One more app was popular, which I call hobby-based app. Like there are 2 participants who are using Art of Living app for doing yoga and meditation regularly. There were 11 who are using Karawa, Saregama Karawa for listening to music. So these kind of apps are also gaining popularity, but senior citizens are still not very confident to install the apps themselves. They are depending on others for installation and other things. But yes, they are now adapting. They are now using the apps. So the final conclusion is senior citizens are accepting this new technology gradually. Once they get familiarity, they can use the apps easily. Mobile apps are full of potentials. They can address the issues faced by the senior citizens. The elderly people, if they become techno-savvy, their quality of living will be much better, and they will not have to depend on anyone for small things. Thank you.
Thank you, Doyle.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any questions from the audience?
Any questions, audience? None. I have a question, ma'am.
Yes, please
Yes,
go ahead.
ma'am.
So, Dal, when you were going for data collection and
Yes.
you collect, so did you consider the internet connectivity and the city, which tier city you are considering, and how much their digital literacy is there within the senior citizens? And second question, I didn't find any medicine buying app here, like NetMed or Amazon Pharmacy. They were not confident about it. Or what was the reason they were not actually using that?
Yes, ma'am. That is what I said. There is some kind of apprehension. There is a mental blockage. It's not that they cannot do. Of course, digital literacy has its own importance, and they have to be digitally literate. And let me say that very clearly that there were some limitations. The people I interacted with were all urban people and educated people. So definitely they're digitally literate. If I go to some small cities, I'm based in Pune, though it was convenient sampling, people were mainly from Pune, Bombay, and Kolkata. So if I go to some other region, let's say Jamshedpur or Ghatshila or Rourkela, the scenario might be different. I don't know. I'm still yet to explore that.
Okay, thank you. And I think one reason like they are not using this medicine apps is that the complication of using it, because I was once trying and it wanted me to upload the prescription. So for everything, they are not very tech savvy. They cannot upload that, and that was the reason.
Technosavviness is the main reason. And why they are not getting technosavvy is they are believing that we cannot do that. They are not, coming out of their comfort zone.
Yes, being digitally literate and being tech savvy is two different things.
Yes, yes.
Richa ma'am, now the dice is yours. You can ask questions to Doyle. Doyle,
Yeah, Doyle. So is this part of your PhD work?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What are the implications of your studies?
There are some social implications. Like I believe that it will help many elderly people who are staying in isolation. I don't know whether isolation is a proper word, but it will help them for betterment of their quality of life. And of course, my PhD topic is mental health of senior citizens. So it will definitely contribute to the mental well-being of them also.
So, so what is, I'm trying to understand, I mean, whatever you just discussed, it's more or less known to everyone. So how do you explain the novelty of your work?
Ma'am, yes, there is some kind of nobility, like whether senior citizens are using mobile app, that how often they are using that itself is a question. Of course, they are now gradually started using, but how often they are using, what are their motivations, and why they are using, why they are not using, both are the questions. Why they are not using? That is another thing, and how can we make them use? That is another thing. So I think this research will contribute how we can make them use. The nobility is the mental health thing, and the nobility is the challenges, addressing the challenges thing.
Uh-huh. So there are a lot of, for example, you talked about self dependence, and so there are a lot of such apps for elderly which cater to their mental health. For example, I don't know if you have heard about the apps like Khayal, and there are many others, right? So these apps are I mean uh, designed specially for the senior citizen, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
keeping their special needs into
Yes.
account, right? So you have simply considered the mobile apps, any mobile apps, whether they are using it or not, right? So as you are
Yes.
saying, you are trying to link it with their mental health. So
It
uh,
is my PhD.
yeah, so for example, you said Mintra, you said WhatsApp. So these are for a connection or for, Myntra is for buying clothes and etc. Right? So why don't you extend your research to assessing specifically the impact of these apps, mental health apps for senior citizens and their impact on their mental health, rather than taking a general view of all the different mobile apps and its impact on mental health? Because then your implications will be more specific and you can come up with some meaningful suggestions in terms of designing of the apps or the factors that should be considered while designing such apps.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you for your suggestion.
Thank you, Doyle.
Thank you, ma'am.
For your research.
Thank
And
you.
ma'am suggested actually that will make your research more specific and more acceptable, because whatever you have been saying is a general statement and they are all well understood. It's a common sense, it's a well known notion that they are using it for convenience and just for connectivity. Now let us move to the next presenter, Dr. Chitralekha Kumar, Swapna Pradhan. Are you there? Dr. Chitralekha Kumar. So I think you are here, Dr. Chitralekha Kumar. I can see you. Dr. Chitralekha Kumar, I can see you are connected. Please unmute yourself. Is there connectivity issues, Dr. Chitralekha Kumar? So we can proceed with the next presentation and we will have this presentation in the latter stage. So Dr. Salja Nimaguda and Mr. Durga Harun Lodagala, are you there? Maria Janet and Dr. Anshul Rajawat. Maria Janet, you are there, I can see you. So you can unmute yourself. Maria Janet, please unmute yourself. Shilpa Sharma. Shilpa Sharma is also there.
Yes, ma'am.
Shilpa, yes, please. Shilpa, we will proceed with your presentation. So, rewards and challenges of technology in human resource management activities. This is the topic of Shilpa's presentation, and we'll proceed with Shilpa Sharma's presentation.
Give me a moment. Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, absolutely visible.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll not be able to switch on my camera, ma'am, because my laptop is detecting some problem with camera. Is it fine?
Okay, it's
Although
okay.
I shared the presentation.
Yes, Richa ma'am, is it fine if she is not able to switch on the camera?
It's okay. Just make your presentation full screen, please.
Is it fine, ma'am?
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Shilpa Sharma, Assistant Professor, Department of BBA, St. Xavier's College, Patna. My topic for presentation today is rewards and challenges of using technology in human resource management activities. This is the table of content that I'll be presenting. aim of my study is to investigate the impacts of technology adoption on various human resource management practices, and the same is to understand the rewards and the challenges which are associated with its implementation, and to provide insights for optimizing the use of technology to enhance human resource management and organizational performance. The following are the objectives of the study, which assesses the impact of technology adoption on specific human resource activities. I have taken the specific activities and then seen how technology works on it. Identifying best practices for leveraging technology to enhance HRM effectiveness, and proposing recommendations for addressing challenges in the use of technology to ensure its effectiveness. A sample size of 40 was collected from across 3 different companies which were using technology in HRM activities, and data used was both qualitative and quantitative in nature, which were interpreted. My first activity, the first human resource management activity that I've taken is recruitment and selection. Before that, I would like to say that gone are those days when human resource management activities were seen merely as something to do as a negotiator of the organization's head for salary negotiation and for maintaining the documentation work. Now, HR is as much responsible for bringing food to the table of the organization as much as the other departments like production and marketing. There are various very crucial activities of human resource management that is taking place in the organizations today, where a lot of technology has improved the efficiency so much, and not just we studied it discretely, but in integrated way as well. My first activity is recruitment and selection. We all know that this is the first and the foremost function which an HR is credited to do with. The filtering of such a large pool of candidates has always been a tedious task for the organizations from times immemorial, ever since the concept of joint stock company has come into being. But recently, the use of technology has reduced the operational problems or the lot of clerical work that HR used to go through for sorting out the applications from various websites. For example, I will quote an example here, which I found in my research, one of the questions, that it's not just the applicants will post their applications on different websites like naukri.com or shine.com, etc. It is also that there are certain apps, just to name a few, it's Prajo HR, Zoho. These apps, they actually work on an integrated medium where the modules are put and they can make an interface by taking out the applications from all these websites like Shine, Naukri.com, LinkedIn Premium, etc. Otherwise, an HR will have to go to these individual websites and pick up each applications, then sort each application's modules and make an Excel sheet of it. This work has been reduced so much by these kinds of technology. Now, Tech Mahindra has already started using AI in recruitment, I think 10 years back. There are various applicants tracking systems, softwares, AI-powered chatbots, which are being used that offer not just an interface, but an integrated interface with the applicants that saves a huge chunk of clerical work that automates the entire process. And it's not just about recruitment and selection. Let me tell you that these technologies, they walk an extra mile because they integrate the other HR activities as well, which I'm going to take in my next slide. Then comes the onboarding. We all know the function of this activity, onboarding, for an organization. This is actually for the first time an employee is forming opinion or framing a perception about the organization. So this has to be very well coordinated, and this has to be very well designed, well shaped, in a comprehensive manner, which speaks very well about the communication and culture of the organization without having a person in person doing all this for the organization. The extensive and accelerated use of onboarding technologies in the form of software can make employee very much at ease irrespective of the location. Now today we also have the concept of remote working. Thanks to COVID-19, this onboarding thing, the technology in HR has done wonders to the organization and contributed as one of the factors that could put the cost down. And the best thing about these onboarding technologies that is help this is that they convert the entire website into a kind of self-service site where the employees can upload their all the things which are required by the organization, their documents, etc. Now there is also a bar on these websites that unless and until these technologies also allow you in that help the HR, because unless and until you have finished the entire filling of the form, it will not go to the admin of the HR and the appointment letter will not be generated. So this helps the employees and it also has its own checkpoints. The chat box powered by AI and different software reduces administration chores and are reduced to a great level and help in better collaboration of the employee and the management, which is very, very important as this is the first time an employee is being introduced to the organization. Then we have the most important part of human resource development. Training and development is a part of it. This is one of the key areas which focuses on making an employee better, develop better, so that he can align his own objectives with the objectives of the organization. Ultimately, which is one of the reasons why an employee chooses to stay longer in the organization. Now, an organization is simply as good as its people. We say that this is a big organization. Now, this big word is contributed to a great extent by not just technology, but the people who are behind the technology. And so it's very important that the people keep learning and evolving. This will also ensure keeping the individual and the organizational goals aligned. Now, there are various learning interfaces in the software. Here, I would like to mention that one of the limitations that those people whom I interviewed said that for small organization, it becomes a problem of the capacity they have, of how much they can spend on these training and development or the learning interface in the software. Because the big organizations can always collaborate with the websites like Udemy or Simply Learn, for which they pay hefty amount for each module. Now, sometimes this is not affordable by smaller organizations which are using technology, which do it for the free lectures that are there available, and each one knows which role suits which kind of learning program. Using technology in the form of AI especially gives the organization a complete database of the employees, and the activities can be planned according to their needs. Many collaborations by big organizations, as I just mentioned, on various online platforms is revolutionizing this step of technology because it aids in the development of an employee, which will ultimately contribute to the success of the organization. Now, performance appraisal. Various theories have been proposed which proves that money is an important motivator at work. Now, the effect of an employee that he has on the work of the organization, this must be known to the HR and the organization completely.
I would request you to just focus on the application of technology in various HR activities rather than explaining the HR functions, as we have limited time. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah. So if I talk about performance appraisal, the technology gives a complete database of the progress of the employee right from the day one when he joins. This is done through a common interface which is available to the employee, and one login is available with the HR people. Now, since day one, the inception, the progress in the graph in well analyzed form, which will help the organization to make informed decision about the the employee, which helps in the decision of transfer, promotion, etc. All the strategically important activities that HRs carry in the organization will help. Now,
Please, I'm unmuted. Shilpa, please, I'll have to stop you because we have a time limitation. So it's
okay, ma'am.
already minutes and the first buzzer went at 8 minutes, but you were in your flow, so I didn't disturb you. But as ma'am has said, if you want, you can just present your findings and you can wind up.
So my findings were that all the other the boons are obviously outweighing the limitations, but some of the limitations that I found was that one, it is about the capacity of the organization. These technologies come at a lot of cost, and second, training the entire organization on using the capacity can come with some amount of resistance. And three, the cost of implementation of these technology going completely online can also incur cost on the various support systems that we have regarding these technologies. Then the privacy and security of data is always vulnerable, but with technology will be always there in the landscape. There is no gainsaying this factor, and therefore the organization should gradually try to draw more rewards out of technology, which will give them a competitive advantage in the market, and sidewise focusing on the limitations that they offer, trying to mitigate the impact of it. Thank you.
Shilpa, can you
Nisha ma'am?
Yeah, Shilpa, can you show us your findings slide? Because what's visible to us is the employee engagement slide. Yeah. So okay, so before I start with my questions, so I'll invite the audience to first ask the questions. Are there any questions from the audience?
Any questions from the audience? None. So audience are not asking any questions. So ma'am, you can proceed with your question.
Yes. So Shilpa, you said you conducted 40 interviews.
Yes, ma'am.
So these interviews were done with the HR people?
Not just the HR people, ma'am.
Mhm.
These were done with the HR people and also some of the employees on whom the data was, who were using this interface.
So these people were from 40 different companies, or can you explain the distribution?
No. 40 sample size from 3 different companies.
From 3 different companies. Okay. So what was the nature of these companies, if you can explain?
One is the consultancy company. One is the Husk Power, which is located in Patna. The other one is Jindal Steels. And the third one was Infosys, since I had my people there, so I could collect data easily.
Mm-hmm. So do you see industry level differences in the technology adoption in the HR function?
They do, ma'am. They do. For example, I can tell you that so I'll name some of the things like Great HR, like Prajo, like Zoho. These are the applications which are there, which comes at a huge cost, but the organizations are using it to make it completely integrated and to have a integrated interface with the people, with the employees as well. Right from the first time when they are drawing the applications from various sites like naukri.com, shine.com, or for that matter, if an employer is taking the CV from LinkedIn, earlier what happened, they would draw CV individually from these sites, make a data, and had to make it on Excel sheet, drawing
So, have you
various
understood
modules.
my question?
That's what I'm saying. I think you have not understood the ma'am's question. She is talking about the technical difference. Does it has any effect?
So my question is, are there industry level differences in adoption of technology in HR?
Industry level differences as in, ma'am? The scale, are you asking about the magnitude or the scale of the
No,
technology
I am
being used?
asking, are certain industries using more technology as compared to others?
Yes, ma'am. The consultancy, the manpower, which has to manage a lot. The core, in fact, I will say that more the service sector is using more HR technologies than the product sector.
So as compared to manufacturing, you are saying service sector is making use of technology in HR more.
More.
Okay, so if this is the case, I mean, because as you have yourself accepted that there are industry level differences, so how did you go ahead with your choice of companies for your research? Why did you choose
I
only these
wanted
three
to have a,
companies?
yes, ma'am. I wanted to have acquaintances from whom I could conveniently collect data. So that is why I went for these. Oh, everywhere I have people who could get me interview. I could arrange that interview, or I could get them fill the questionnaires.
Yeah,
That
but convenience will not fetch you the reliable findings, right? So you should go out of your comfort zone and try to sample the participants from many different industrial backgrounds so that you can get a more holistic picture of technology adoption in different sectors of economy.
is, ma'am.
Yeah. So are you a PhD student?
No, no, not yet. I have not enrolled in PhD yet.
Okay, okay. So how, is there a plan to extend your research?
Hopefully, yes, ma'am. I'm planning to get enrolled the next year.
Yeah, so because this was just a qualitative analysis of 40 interviews, I would suggest you go ahead with the quantitative survey as well as rather than generally talking about usage of technology, you can explore how specifically AI or machine learning has been integrated into HR function, as these are the hot topics these days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for your suggestions.
Okay. Thank you. Wish you the best.
Thank you.
Shilpa, that was a great presentation. Still, you are not into research, but you tried your best. And I think ma'am's insight will help you to get into enroll into a good PhD program. So plan for it and get yourself enrolled because you have such in talent acquisition. So ma'am is physically
Morning, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, please go ahead.
Mute. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, each one of you present over here. Today, I'm going to present my paper, the topic of which is revolutionizing HR. I would like to explore the impact of AI in talent acquisition part. We have just heard a research paper which explored the invent of technology in HRM functions, but the person talked about each and every area of HR function. This particular paper is just focusing on talent acquisition, that is starting from the job description part or recruitment part and moving on to the succession planning. So we all are very well aware, we have already learned a lot about, just wait a minute. Okay, so this is the introduction of topic. We have learned a lot about AI in previous papers which are being discussed over here. We already know the different functional areas of HR also. And by this particular paper, it's based upon secondary sources of information. So it just talks about the companies which are actually using the AI in talent acquisition part. And all of us are quite familiar with the traditional role of HRM, especially the talent acquisition area. Artificial intelligence can greatly influence this particular area by providing a lot amount of efficiency as well as effectiveness with certain amount of benefits which are just mentioned over here. And it includes improved quality of candidate selection as well as increased accuracy. AI can do this particular particular benefit because it can very effectively contain a large amount of massive amount of data in a split of a second, and an HR manager can gain an insight as well as an expertise and the talent pool that is available at their end. It can analyze with the help of certain keywords and interpret resumes, the cover letters, etc., to extract relevant information that is beneficial to the HR department. The primary purpose, the next slide. Okay, the primary purpose of this particular paper, because it is based upon secondary source of information, is just to explore, it's an exploratory paper, to explore the impact of artificial intelligence on talent acquisition part by analyzing the information that is available from different secondary sources like different publications, different blogs of various companies which are actually using talent acquisition and AI together in a global scenario. Next slide. So I've done a literature review, and few of the literature reviews mentioned over here. For example, in 2018, Burson did a research and found that the usage of AI in resume screening as well as matching with the help of keywords, which are available in our job description, it is used extensively in that particular area. Similarly, a study from SHRM in 2019 highlighted the role of AI in making fair and objective assessment of candidates, that is, bias-free assessment of candidates. AI may improve applicant experience also. That is not only helping HR manager, AI can help the candidates also. They can have a better experience also whenever they are giving an interview for an organization. And this was done through a research by Deloitte in 2020. So AI and talent acquisition both can be combined together. Earlier, the common perception of AI was that it is a robot-driven or a chatbot-driven type of a technology-enabled platform. But in modern times, AI as well as ML has expanded well beyond by using predictive modeling and automating repetitive activities that are prevalent in HRM functional area. So more robust systems other than ATS, which is a part of HRIS, more robust systems came into existence like talent acquisition systems, TAS, and we also have TRM, talent relationship management system, on the lines of customer relationship management systems. These are certain examples across the globe. So as I mentioned earlier, I analyzed certain companies which have already implemented AI in talent acquisition part, and how it all, I just wanted to explore how it all started. So these are the examples of certain companies. For example, Unilever in 2017 used AI only to assess the entry-level workers in their organization. Similarly, Vodafone in their London-based organization used video interviews for shortlisting candidates. AI has been used by another organization with the name Intuit, which is a software organization, for narrow down the talent pool that is using data mining concepts. Similarly, another company used machine learning, that is ML technologies, to have a large database so that they can have the best talent recruited in their organization for the possible applicants. So all the companies which are mentioned over here have been using AI from a large, various years, from the past 5 to 10 years, and they are using it in talent acquisition part. So although it has its own disadvantages like data security or some other similar disadvantages or limitations, but the potential which AI is having in talent acquisition area is tremendous. So if the HR executive and talent acquisition executive work along with the AI counterparts, they can use this particular area in future so for their competitive advantage. So that's all. So this is the conclusion part. So whenever we are formulating a plan for talent acquisition, if both the HR, TA as well as AI personals contribute together for the talent acquisition, they can work for the wonders of the organization. Any questions?
Thank you, Aparna ma'am. Ma'am, Aparna ma'am is here, so you can ask questions.
Yes, first I invite questions from the audience, if there are any.
Any questions, audience?
So audience seems to be very passive.
They don't want to bother the presenters. They are in anxiety because they have already known that you are among the 2% in the top researchers. So the presenters are in anxiety.
So what? But we learn from each other, and you need to be always curious to learn more. So at least I expect some questions from the
The
audience.
question is coming. But please, I can repeat that question. Please come. So we have a question from Ritesh Ravi sir, and he, please sir.
Actually, I have one observation that as per the hallmarks of research, okay, there should be at least theoretical and methodological rigor. So that methodological rigor was missing in that presentation. So that should be followed. So then we can get some better output.
Sure, sir. Next time I'll keep it in mind.
So that's not only with this paper. So far in all the papers that have been presented, so I could find this particular problem with all the papers. So they need to be more scientific when it comes to, adopting right methodology. And as sir rightly said, we need to focus on theoretical and methodological rigor to be able to come up with more valid and reliable findings. Anyways, so my question to you, Aparna, is, so you just used secondary data to see how artificial intelligence has been used by companies in the talent acquisition functions, right?
Right now.
Yeah, so this is just the first step in the research process. As you rightly said, this research as exploratory, but it's important that you extend it further and try to assess the actual impact of use of AI technology on the effectiveness of talent acquisition using different quantitative as well as qualitative methods.
Right. It's Indian scenario or Indian context too.
Yes, yes, yes. So are you doing PhD?
No, ma'am, not yet started.
Okay. So for this level, this is fine. But if you are interested in research, you can extend your work in future. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aparna ma'am. Thank you for your presentation. And ma'am, in HR, there is always a problem that HRM people are frightened of analysis. I've seen in most of the papers, they go for descriptive, exploratory, but they don't try to move into the depth of research methodology or just going to the regression or anything. They're just frightened of that. And that fright has actually stopped them from giving good papers in good journals. Although the conceptualization is always good, they're always thinking something novel, something novice, but actually they're not able to convert it just because of the rigor is missing.
Yeah, it's not only about quantitative, adopting quantitative methods, if they are more comfortable with qualitative. So there also we have a lot of objective tools available that can remove subjectivity from simply, analyzing the secondary data or just subjectively interpreting the interviews that you conduct. So
Yes, ma'am.
you cannot separate HR from statistics. So it's important, if you really want to publish in good journals, you have to have good command over.
And even the qualitative part, generally, we are not much aware, and the research community, in fact, they are not much aware about the tools and the ways how to conduct this kind of research. So we can next time have a workshop on. Yes, and we will invite you.
It's really important for research scholars, especially, to have a thorough command on various research methodology tools. So it's important that MIT organizes such workshops on regular basis for them.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and we'll surely look forward to this. Important observation from this international conference. So the next presenter is Rashika Tabassum. Rashika Tabassum. Yes, I can see. Dr. Rashika,
My voice is, I hope, is audible.
yes, you're quite audible. So you can carry forward with your presentation.
Okay, sure,
And the
ma'am.
topic of presentation is mental health important for work-life balance? A study among Indian working women.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I have to share my presentation. I'm Dr. Rashika Tabassum, and currently I'm working as an assistant professor at GL Bajaj Institute of Management. One second, I have to shift my window. Currently, I'm working as assistant professor at GL Bajaj Institute of Management, Greater Noida, and I had completed my PhD from Jamia Millia Islamia. It is a Central University in New Delhi. And today I'm going to present my topic is mental health important for work-life balance? A study among Indian working women. So first of all, I would like to introduce the topic, the variables, that is the work-life balance and the mental health.
Dr. Rashika, make it full screen, your presentation.
Okay. I hope it is now visible more.
It's quite fine now. Please carry forward.
So for, my variables are work-life balance and mental health. So first of all, I would like to describe these two variables. The term work-life balance has been defined by various authors, but there is no consistent definition in the literature. So, but I had followed the definition given by Greenhouse, which is the work-life balance is the extent to which an individual is engaged in and equally satisfied with his or her workload and family role. The second variable is the mental health. The very well-known definition of the mental health is given by the World Health Organization. A state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope up with the normal stresses of life, and can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. The objectives of this study is to study the relationship between work-life balance and mental health among working women, and also to study the impact of mental health on work-life balance among the working women. So there are two hypotheses that are based on the objective. So first of all, there would be a significant relationship between work-life balance and mental health among working women. And second, there would be a significant impact of mental health on work-life balance among the working women. So method is, the research is quantitative and descriptive research design is being used. The participants are the working women working in the public and private firms of Delhi NCR. The procedure followed is simply the online Google form link is sent to the participants, and the data is being collected. And after that, the tools like SPS is being used for the further analysis. The variables are the dependent or the criterion variable is work-life balance, whereas the independent variable or the predictor variable is mental health. First of all, the demographic sheet is being prepared, in which the demographic details such as marital status, age, family type, qualification, etc. is being recorded. And the two instruments is being used for the data collection point of view. The first variable, which is the work-life balance, and for the collection of the data, 15 items, Heyman 2005 scale is being used, which consists of 3 construct: work interference with personal life interference with work, and work personal life enhancement. The total questions are 15, and for the purpose of that whether the tool is being used reliable, the reliability or the internal consistency is being measured by the alpha value, which is 0.8. According to the George and Mallet 2003, the point greater than 0.5 is acceptable Cronbach alpha value for the tool to be used in the study. The second variable is mental health, and for that particular variable, I had used the shortened version of standardized mental health inventory, which is given by the Wheat and Ware in 1983. This is 18 item self-report questionnaire, and the inventory consists of 18 items in a 6-point Likert scale. Again, the reliability is being used, measured, and which is 0.88, and which is also acceptable according to George and Mallet. So this is a descriptive statistic in which the frequency, the range is being mentioned, which is already mentioned in the table 3.1. So I'm not going to read this table. This is very time taking. And the descriptive status also the mean, standard deviation, and skewness kurtosis. The skewness and kurtosis values are used for to check the normality of the data, because I'm going to use the Pearson correlation and the regression. So this is very important to check the normality, or that whether the data is normally distributed or not. So normality is being checked by the Kolmogorov-Shapirovilk test, which is the data represented in table 3.3. The values are greater than 0.05, which is insignificant. That is, the test shows that the values are greater than 0.05, which is insignificant. That means the data seems to be normally distributed. The QQ plot is also measured, and also the histogram, which the picture shows that the data is bell shaped and it is normally distributed. The inferential statistics, so Pearson product Norman correlation is being done to study the relationship between the work-life balance and the mental health, which is the value is 0.59, which is slightly greater than 0.5. We can say that the value of coefficient is 0.59, which is less than 0.01, and that is significant to say that the relationship is strong enough according to Cohen 1992 study. Again, there are certain assumptions that needs to be fulfilled while applying the regression analysis. The assumption of linearity is being validated by drawing a scatter plot between the work-life balance and the mental health. The straight line shows that the variables are linearly correlated. This is actually the assumption of the correlation as well. But in regression also, the line is being mentioned so that we can represent this line as our regression equation line. The assumptions of multicollinearity as well as the autocorrelation homozygosity is also being verified, but multicollinearity is not applicable in this scenario because there is one independent variable, and there is no chances of having the relationship between the independent variable, but still the VIF value is being measured, and which is above 0.1 as per the information per the literature, and no correlation among the independent variable. However, in this case, there is one independent variable, so this cannot be required to check the multicollinearity. The assumption of autocorrelation, which says that error terms are not correlated for any two observation, which is tested by the Durbin-Watson test, and in this case, the value is 1.90, which shows that there is no autocorrelation, and also the homozygosity is also measured. And in the picture, the homozygosity actually measured by drawing the scatter plot between the regression standard residual and regression standard predicted value, and which shows there is no pattern. The values are evenly distributed, and there is no U-shaped or V-shaped pattern is being followed. The finding shows that correlation was found between the two variables, that is the mental health and the work-life balance, because the value is 0.591, which is good enough to mention that hypothesis 1 is accepted. Since the correlation coefficient is 0.59, indicated there is a large and positive correlation according to Cohen. And we can also say that the R square value is 0.349. That means the model explains 34.9% of the variance in work-life balance due to mental health. These are the results of the regression analysis. Which shows that the mental health is significantly predict work-life balance, as the equation is 33.52 plus 0.282 into mental health, that which indicated that if mental health would be enhanced by 1 unit, our model predict that there will be 0.22 282 or 28.2% of the work-life balance among the working women. The discussion holds that whether the findings, whether available findings supported by the literature, the finding shows that there is a positive relationship between work-life balance and mental health, which is also supported and corroborated by the past researchers like Mansha, Brownie, Dryras, and Pitt and all. The second of the hypothesis shows that mental health has been discovered to predict work-life balance among working women. In simple word, we can say that by improving the mental health, the employee will be able to balance their work and family life more easily. We can conclude here that in the field of human resources management, making mental health as a component of influencing work-life balance of women employees, and also as recognized by Sao et al. 2022, there is a need to focus by the employees to the effort to take care of the mental health and psychological well-being of their employees. And lastly, according to the Brownie and Rigas, the relationship between work-life balance and health was stronger in 2013 than it was in 2003. This suggests that each decade passes, the relationship between work-life balance and health still tends to be stronger. Hence, it's the high time for the companies to protect the mental health of their employees. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Rashika. In fact, after the presentation, we saw some statistics and some analysis in your paper.
Thank you,
Over
ma'am.
to you, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you, Rashika, for your presentation. Any questions from the audience?
Yes, any questions, audience?
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes.
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 You're
I'm Dr. Chitralekha. This is actually not a question, but I just want to, ask the presenter, when we normally take correlation to be very stronger, it has to be something more than 0.5, maybe, 0.789 nearing towards 1. So I don't know how you say it is a strong correlation and then accept or reject a null hypothesis on that
Yes,
basis.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Actually, I have this question is being arised in my PhD presentation as well, because 0.5, the study of Cohen 1992 is actually given the bracket that whether the relationship is greater than 0.1, it is weak relationship, and if it is greater than 0.3, it is medium relationship, and 0.5 is greater strong relationship, according to the study of Cohen 1992. I had seen that my research fellows also mentioned the name of Cohen, only the name of the Cohen. I have seen in so many PhD theses that the Cohen being is mentioned, but the same question is already raised by my PhD presentation, that most of the people, they don't mention that whether the relationship is strong or medium or weak, but I had mentioned, and that's why I request ma'am also that whether I'm on the right track or not.
Yes, so as you're talking of Cohen talks about the effect size.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So, of course, Dr. Chitralekha's question is valid, that your correlation values were around 0.3, right? So you cannot call it very strong correlation. It is low correlation, low to moderate correlation.
0.59 value is 0.59.
0.59. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you can call it a moderate correlation, not a strong one, because strong one goes above 0.7. Right?
Okay. Okay.
And when it comes to citing Cohen, I would request you to go to Cohen's papers first and understand the concept of effect size.
Yes, ma'am. Even in my PhD thesis, I had done the independent t-test and also mentioned the effect size. This is also.
Yeah, and you cannot comment on the strength of correlation unless there is a reference value that you can compare it with. So you need to check how has been the strength of this relationship in the past studies from different countries. Then only you will be in a position to actually comment whether it is weak, strong. Otherwise, in isolation, you cannot say whether it is weak, strong, or moderate, right? So it has to be a relative value. Yeah. Any other question from the participants?
I just wanted to know from Rashika that she was talking about 6-point Likert scale. I had no idea because I've heard about 5-point, 7-point.
Exactly, ma'am. Actually, it is the already standard tool, so I cannot change the scale number. Means the Likert cannot be changed to 5 because already standard tool which is already given by Wheatonware. So I have to have use. Yes, you are right. There are the Likert scale is being 5, 7, 9.
No, it
But
can be 6 also, not an issue. My
okay.
question to you is, how do we decide the number of anchors in a scale, whether we should go for 5, 6, or 7, right? So how do we take that decision? There must be some underlying logic, right? We cannot randomly go for a 3-point scale, 5-point or 7-point or 9-point, right? Some researchers make use of 3 points, some 5, but there is an underlying rationale. So are you aware of it?
No, ma'am, I don't think I know this because in my research also I had used the standard scale, so I have not gone through it.
Yeah, using a standard scale is okay because somebody proposed it, so you are following the same. But being a student of research, you should be able to understand these basic concepts.
Maybe on the basis of the objective, or maybe on the basis of the items that we are.
No. So it depends upon the ability of the participants to be able to differentiate between the scale points. For example, if we go for a 3-point scale, right? 1, 2, 3, or 0, 1, 2, right? And if we go for a 5-point scale, so 5-point scale, only a person with a knowledge about that particular concept will be able to differentiate 2 from 3 or 3 from 4, right? But if the participants are not at a level where they can actually, differentiate between 1 to 9, if we go for a 9-point scale, that can be used only in case of experts where they can actually note the minute differences in these scale points, right? But if your audience is not in such a position, then you should think of lower number of anchors in your scale, right? Yeah. Now, my question to you, Rashika, is you have proposed that mental health leads to work-life balance, right? So is there a possibility that work-life balance actually promotes mental health? How did you look for this possibility of reverse relationship between the variables? Because according to me, it is more logical to say that work-life balance will promote mental health rather
Yes,
than
even I have gone through so many literature, and most of the people says that what you have said. My actually research is reverse relationship, but I have seen so many researchers says that the mental health is a dependent variable, and when the person is not able to balance their work life, they disturb their mental health. But as per the results of the over 60-70 participants, the relationship, the result shows this can be done. And just to add the newness in the research, maybe I had tried ki mental health is an independent variable and the work-life balance is a dependent variable, or we can say in simple word that if the person's mental health is better enough, they can easily able to balance their work life.
So just on the basis of what the statistical software has produced, right? You entered some data and
No, ma'am.
up with certain results. What you can do is, if you input work-life balance as independent variable and mental health as dependent variable, then also software will give you some
Yes,
results, right?
and there are lots of research are available on this.
So that's what I'm saying. As a researcher, it's important that you check for this reverse causality, right? How can you do that? How can you do that? Any ideas?
In SPSS, I had done simply the dependent variable is work-life balance and the independent variable is mental.
I'm telling you if you do the opposite, then also you will get
Some
same,
results.
same result, same result.
Maybe higher, because research supports the relationship that is in which the mental health is.
So, okay, you explain me the theoretical rationale behind your argument that mental health will lead to work-life balance. How do you say that?
It's a type of we can say that it's my opinion also, and I would like to see few more participants. I would like to enhance my study that whether the 60 participant, what is actually the result of the 60 participant can be explored to the major audiences. And after that, I could more strong enough that what I am saying, that if the mental health of the people is good, or they are in fact the results of the mental health shows that the greater the value of the mental health mean value, the greater will be the better will be the mental health. But as per the study, it shows that
I understood your point. What I'm trying to say here is, so if you want to establish causality that mental health leads to work-life balance or work-life balance leads to mental health, in that case, you need to conduct longitudinal studies wherein you collect data at different points in time. For example, you collect mental health data today and work-life balance after 6 months, right? So you create a temporal separation between measurement of these variables. Then only you can say that mental health led to work-life balance. And that too after controlling for all other factors that can influence your work-life balance, right? Because work-life balance is dependent on a lot of other factors other than mental health, right? So it's important that you include control variables in your model. So my only suggestions for you is to conduct a longitudinal study and include control variables in your model to be able to arrive at more meaningful findings.
Oh, ma'am, sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the suggestion.
Thank you, Rashika. That was indeed a good presentation. And what ma'am has said, as a layman, we all can think that if you are not mentally sound, how can you work? And how can you balance your personal and professional life? So it is, I think the mental health word should be, if you are mentally strong, I think that can be the better substitute for that. Then whether you are able to manage your work-life balance better or not, I think that can also work here. So, but it was a very good presentation from your side, and I can see some more presenters here. So we can just, if you are available, please let me know. Aparna, Anup, Devika S. Kumar, Gopika S. or Vandana Madhavan. Anybody is here? Nidhi,
I have also missed out the presentation. Dr. Chitralekha, if you may allow, I'll try sharing.
Sure. Dr. Chitralekha Kumar and Dr. Swapna Pradhan.
Rashika, please stop sharing your screen so that I can share it.
And the topic for Chitralekha's presentation is the metaverse and opportunities in higher education, a systematic literature review. So, Dr. Rashika, if you could stop sharing. Yeah. Dr. Chitralekha, you can start sharing your screen.
Is my presentation visible, ma'am?
Yes, yes, we can see your presentation. Just make it full screen.
Yeah. So good afternoon to session chair, moderator from AMITI, my fellow presenters and listeners. I'm presenting on behalf of Dr. Swapna Pradhan and self, Dr. Chitralekha. And the topic is the metaverse and opportunities in higher education, a systematic literature review. So, ma'am, in my paper also, here you're not going to get any analysis, etc., that we were looking forward to. But the topic is such that India as a country or developing countries are yet to experience the prospects of metaverse. So this is based on a systematic literature review. When we talk about metaverse, what we really right now think is about gaming, entertainment, and some kind of virtual experience. But over the years, it has evolved in such a way that it is impacting different domains with its advanced technologies in a very positive manner. So, with this background, the present research is aimed at understanding or examining how metaverse applications can be beneficial in the higher education domain. So this is a glimpse of 4 literature which I found very relevant, presented on the slide before you, wherein it has been utilized in different countries for teaching mathematics and biology. Then it was very relevant when it came to teaching foreign language. And there are papers that talk about the prospects and challenges about this in the education sector. Also about how it can be utilized for immersive training of the corporate delegates. So the SLR here is based on 4 stages wherein data has been collected. In the first stage, from I have a list that is 10 Emerald paper, Google Scholar 34, IEEE Explore 16, Science Direct 9, and Springer 11, Sage 8, Taylor and Francis 4, making it to a total of 92, which I can show through this Prisma flow. So after removing duplicate 61 and then the titles, abstracts, where we followed the process of inclusion and exclusion criteria, wherein the paper had to be in English language only, would talk about the application of metaverse in higher education domain. That led to filtering of this entire 92 documents to 32, which were included in this study. So this table, which is represented, I have put 4 papers over here. So all the 32 have been bucketed in this format, wherein the advantages which the paper talked about in that domain have been mentioned, limitations that they highlighted have been bucketed too. Also, the kind of methods that the research papers utilized have also been studied. A synthesis of this gives these 5 prominent areas which were discussed and talked about to be positive, which is saying immersive learning. For example, majorly in the healthcare sector, it was mentioned that simulations can be performed, wherein medical students can actually perform the operations without any risk and see the results, giving them a deeper immersive learning. Remote learning also was very beneficial, wherein the globe becomes one classroom and students can study together or teachers can teach in different geographies. And the national education policy talks about holistic development and collaborative teaching and learning. So metaverse, one prospect is very strong, that is collaborative learning, wherein students and teachers from different ethnicities can come together and learn together, show team spirits and leadership skills while teaching and learning. It also catered to personalized learning and accessible learning, which emphasize that students with hearing impairment, visual disability, etc., can also be included. So it will ward off these barriers. But having said that, countries like India and other developing nations wherein technology is advancing, but infrastructure, time, cost, etc., remains a constant. So these papers were also screened through to figure out what challenges they have identified. So these are the prominent challenges that emerged. That yes, technical limitations wherein it comes to infrastructure support, internet availability, etc., is still a challenge, and to inculcate softwares, apps, etc., based on metaverse costs on a higher end at present moment. So higher education institutions will need to take care of that. Privacy and security remains a concern, like any other digital platform that we see, because a lot of personalized data is put onto the platform of metaverse. Then we are still at that digital literacy skill is not up to the mark. We are progressing, but that will still be a challenge. And ethical and legal aspects like cryptocurrency, bitcoins, etc., are yet not approved in our country. But the papers that were majorly from European domain mentioned that they have been, purchasing tools, equipments as an object in the form of avatar and augmented reality environments. So for a country like ours, we will have some ethical and legal aspects to be checked into before metaverse can be applied to higher education system. Similarly, it will have social and cultural implications too, because we are diverse set of people with different culture and religion and faith background. With this, I conclude my systematic literature review that metaverse is promising in the area of higher education sector with the 3-4 pointers which have come out by the synthesis of this review. However, the policy makers and the higher education people need to think about the constraints also that are highlighted before we implement this into our system. So, thank you for listening, ma'am, and I'm open to questions.
Thank you, Chitralekha. Richa ma'am.
Yes, let's invite questions from the participants first.
Yes, please. Questions, participants. Those who are online, you can also have your questions. Anyone, any questions?
Okay, so if there are no questions, so Chitralekha, so what databases did you consider for your SLR?
Science Scopus, Google Scholar, and Web of Science.
Okay, Scopus. So you said there were 92 papers that you got, right?
Yes.
So, and when you were describing about inclusion and exclusion criteria, you just talked about whether the paper is in English. What were the other inclusion criteria?
So there were metaverse papers, but they did not talk about higher education, let's say. They have been talking about elementary education. So those papers were excluded.
Okay.
And the ones that did not bring out the advantages or challenges, but have described some cases, etc., were excluded because the agenda was to include the advantages or challenges brought about. And the last one was that this research was conducted between the papers that were catered from 2019 to July 2023. After that, we have not added fresh paper to it. So that was one of the inclusion and exclusion criteria.
So why 19? Why not papers before that?
Actually, we started working on this from August, 2023. So post that we have not added.
Yeah. So why do you think there was a need for systematic literature review in the field of metaverse, which is very, research on which is very nascent in nature, right? So systematic review is conducted for those fields which are mature enough where, we feel there is a need for review. So what is the number of papers that you had considered, final number of papers for the review?
32.
32. So I don't think 32 is a good enough critical mass for you to go ahead with the systematic literature review.
So when we started this research and we're progressing on it, this was one of the pointers that we definitely took into account. But this is a very nascent field, as you rightly said. But the economies like our country, wherein we are seeing that we can explore the prospects, we can see whether it will be feasible down the line, let's say 10 years or 20 years. So if you say as SLR, yes, the numbers are lesser because we see that normally they have included multiple, 200 plus papers, etc. But looking at its importance in the higher education system right now, we thought to go ahead and figure out these pointers, let's say advantages and disadvantages, which we would further like to build upon. Maybe by doing qualitative, wherein one-on-one we can take interviews, etc. That's our future research agenda.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about from the publication point of view. You'll not be able to publish this SLR. This can act as a review for your further extension of work, whereas you said you would like to go ahead with interviews, right? So this literature review can be part of that paper. But if you want to publish an SLR on its own, then I don't think reviewers will be convinced with the number of papers that you considered.
So that's a very valuable input from your side, which I would like to, incorporate and build it on with a qualitative study combined and then release it in the form of a publishable paper. So, thank you.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, and this is the aim of this slide. So may I know those who have missed their presentations, are they here to present? Nidhi Walia, Mikeri Fakadu. Anyone from you is here to present your paper?
So I can see Maria Janet. So Maria, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, Maria Janet, would you be presenting your paper because we can hear you connected? We can see here.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, Maria. So are you ready to present your paper?
Hello, Maria, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you
Actually,
audible to?
hello?
Yeah.
Ma'am, kindly 5 minutes. I couldn't, I am not able to connect it.
Okay, take your time. Till then, is Salja Nima Guttigat Harun is there? Or Salja Nima Gata? Aparna Anup, Devika S. Kumar, Gopika S. or Vandana Madhavan. Anybody here? So we can.
So this is the last presentation, Dr. Manisha, right? By Maria.
Yes, ma'am, because I think other people are not here.
Yeah. So Maria, if you can please share your presentation.
Yes, it's quite visible.
I'm here to present my paper on the role of HRM in fostering work-life balance strategies for employees. My name is Maria Janet. I'm a research scholar in the Department of Management at University in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. So my research paper today focuses on the critical role of HRM in fostering work-life balance and promoting employee well-being in the organization. As we are aware that in today's dynamic and competitive business environment, it becomes very important for employees to balance their work life and personal life as well. So this research paper focuses on this particular topic on balancing work life and personal life as well for all the employees and how HRM plays a crucial role in it. So the objectives of the study are to explore various strategies employed by HRM departments to facilitate work-life balance. The second objective is to investigate supportive policies and programs that promote employees' wellness, childcare assistance, and caregiving support. And the third is to find out the impact of HRM on organizational culture, leadership support, and managerial practices on how effective work-life balance initiatives can be. And the last objective would be to provide HRM professionals and organizational leaders with actionable strategies which can be actually implemented in the organization today to cultivate a culture of employee well-being in the workplace. So the research methodology used for this research is qualitative approach. So this study examines how HRM can be helpful for work-life balance of an employee by examining these studies and empirical information and so for the study, we have this second data
And the goal is to achieve the best strategies of HRM practices for work-life balance and to find key findings through assessment of scholarly books, publications, and reports from very reputable and reliable sources. Furthermore, this also will give us a real which can be used to demonstrate how these strategies can be implemented in the organization. So the various strategies employed by HRM for work-life balance are a few which we have listed here. The first being flexible work arrangements, wherein we provide flexibility for employees to choose their working hours, work from home or working long hours for a few days in a week, and such as all these arrangements. And second is telecommuting and remote work options. So in today, with today's advanced technology, it has become possible for employees so that we can provide them work from home and which helps them balance both personal and professional leaves flexibility. Personal leaves allow them to take leave and personal commitments without sacrificing their job security or the fourth is employee assistance program. These programs help them provide counseling services. And next is wellness and initiatives and fitness programs. So these programs help them teach time management, stress management, etc. And the next would be child care assistance program, wherein especially female employees can subdue on this, where we provide them reduced child care cost or on-site child care facilities to employees, so that they can balance both their parenting responsibility and their work as well. The next is caregiver support policies, where employees who are the primary caregiver for their elderly patient. So that next is work-life balance, wherein collaborative tools, time tracking software, and communication platforms are provided to the employees to streamline their workflows and improve efficiency. Next is training and development, where training sessions and workshops on time management, stress management, and workload and personal commitment balance can be support policies and programs which can be implemented for promoting employee well-being. The first being health and wellness benefit, wherein we provide them various health insurance coverages for mental health and physical health, fitness classes, etc. The next is mental health support service. Very confidential counseling services can be provided to the employees who are going through mental health crisis or to address stress, anxiety, depression, and other mental health concerns. Next is financial wellness programs, where financial planning resources, retiring plans, seminars, and facilities to employees. The next is flexible spending accounts, pre-tax accounts that allow employees to set aside funds for qualified medical expenses or emergency expenses. Next is work-life balance workshops and seminars can be provided to them so that they can help understand them, the time management and stress reduction techniques, mindfulness, etc. The next is remote work and telecommuting options, which we previously discussed as work from home and remote locations to help them seen and heard, and their achievements matter to the organization. The next is the impact of HRM on organizational culture and how effective it is for the work-life balance of the employees. The influence of HRM practices on organizational culture is a major thing, as it provides them recruitment techniques, selection, and performance management, etc. are included in this category. The role of leadership support in promoting work-life balance is another thing, where the leadership of the organization can support the employees that their well-being also matters. And the third is managing the practices affecting employee well-being and work-life balances, which provides training and support to managers and how they can approach the employees and
create an open communication network for them so that they can address the issues which they are facing. The last is employee satisfaction, retention, and productivity outcomes. So it is obvious that if the employee is being seen and heard and understands that their needs also are being heard by the organization. So obviously it makes the organization's retention and employee satisfaction and leads to a positive outcome of the organization. The last is actionable strategies, which can be effectively implemented in the organization, could be implementing comprehensive work-life balance policies, creating a supportive organizational culture, provide leadership training on work-life balance management, and conduct regular assessment surveys, offer personalized support to employees, promoting awareness and utilization of available resources, and the last being fostering collaboration and cross-functional partnerships. So the finding of this paper helps us understand that flexible work arrangements such as telecommunicating and providing employees with autonomy and control their work schedules provides an immense effect on their well-being. Also, policies and programs which we have discussed also ensures that employees are aware of their rights and entitlements regarding their work-life balance initiatives. Also, the last employee assistance programs also provides them valuable support, and training and development initiatives also equips employees with necessary skills and tools to effectively manage their workload and prioritize their well-being as well. And to conclude, HRM has a significant impact on how an organization is shaped and how successful work-life balance programs can. So HRM plays a crucial role in this topic to create a pleasant and long-lasting work environment for people where they can thrive, and a culture that supports employees' well-being and encourages work-life balance, and also gives employees the tools that they need to manage their personal and professional life effectively. So here are the few references which I have listed used for this particular study. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, ma'am.
So before ma'am says that any question for the audience, I will ask any question from the audience. Anyone who are here in online mode, they can also ask the questions. So ma'am, again, the dais is yours.
This is Rashika. I would like to ask one question.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yes, Dr. Rashika, please.
You have mentioned the title, whether the impact of, or in the conclusion also you have mentioned the significant impact. So can we use these words before by not applying the stats or by not applying the regression method? Because effect of impact of these words are mostly probably used in the when we use the statistical research and we use any statistic in the research. And secondly, one more question is, you have mentioned lots of areas where the HRM practices can be used for a work-life balance, but you have not mentioned actually the citation of which paper is actually saying that these are the practices can be used. Or if you have done the same research in the quantitative way, you can approach. Have you approached any company that these are the practices being followed in the organization? So this is my question actually. So whether it is quantitative or qualitative is slightly not clear.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, I'll just explain that it is a qualitative paper right now. I have spoken to many organizations, and since their point of views were quite different, so I have created a generalized paper, and the data used in this paper is secondary data. So on primary data, I'm still working on that, and I'll be preparing a new paper with the primary data on it. As I have spoken to so many people, I understood that maybe we can create another paper with the primary data, and I'll mention the citations also, the which books and all I have used. So I have put that in the entire paper which I have submitted. So I have not put that in the presentation, right?
Hello.
So,
Hello.
hello.
Yes, Maria.
Hello? Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, we can hear you, Maria.
Yeah. So the question, according to the question, I'd like to say that this paper is qualitative in nature, ma'am. and descriptive in nature. And I had spoken to physicians who have given me a particular work-life balance and the strategies which are being used in the organization. So I have created a generalized paper on this, and that is why I have not mentioned the organizations in which I have been in touch. So I will be
Maria.
working
Hello.
Hello, Maria, can you hear me?
on next paper.
Hello, Maria. Hello. Are we audible, Maria? Maria Janet, are you there? I think she has internet problems.
Yeah. So the main problem in the paper, which I could see, was there was no mention of methodology that she used to arrive at her findings and conclusion. And she mentioned that it's a qualitative paper. So it's not a qualitative paper because no data has been used to arrive at the findings, right? So data can be qualitative or quantitative, but she said that she used secondary data. I mean, that was basically a literature review, and that too a kind of very basic conceptual paper. And as Rashika rightly pointed out, the sources for the claims that she made in the paper were not very clearly cited. So, of course, there were problems with the methodological rigor. There were problems with the way the paper was structured. And this is basically, I would see it as a subjective account of you read 10 papers and then you come up with your own interpretation of those. So to call it a research would be, I would say, we can't call it this type of work as research. So I would suggest Maria to introduce more methodological rigor I mean, she can build on this work and extend it by including qualitative as well as quantitative data to substantiate her claims.
Hope Maria is listening this because it's a really insightful suggestion for ma'am. So I don't know whether she is able to listen to us or not, but if it is getting recorded, then also you can go through it and you can listen what ma'am has said about it. So try, you are trying and you try, keep on trying. And the most important thing for research is the knowledge of statistics and research methodology. So please go to that, just the title, whatever Dr. Rashika has also suggested, that also should be very clear. So ma'am, with this, we are winding up because we have 3 more presenters, but they are not here. So let me have a final call of their names. So Aparna, Anup, Devika S. Kumar, and Gopika S. and Vandana Mahamadhavan. Are anybody from here who will be presenting their paper? None. So Mekeri, Fekadu, and Nidhi Walia. Anyone from you who is there to present the paper? No. Okay, and the next is Dr. Salja Nimagada and Mr. Durga Harun Loda Gala. So with this, we are winding up, ma'am, because we have 3 more presentations, but the presenters are not here. So
we are already over time. We were supposed to wind up at 12:30.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
but before we wind up, I'll just have a small, like your remarks, your insightful remarks will actually make this session even more insightful and more enriched with your insight, so that the researchers can gain. And although they have gained from the remarks that you have given, the suggestions that you have given, but still I'll request a 5-minute or at least 2 minutes if you can give a general remarks to all the presenters.
okay.
And ma'am, please on that, because I saw just one paper talking about the Bharatiya model, but in HR maybe we have a lot of scopes, and I think they have not understood the broad concept. So if you could throw some light, some future avenues where they can work and incorporate this model.
Yeah, because, okay. So, so it was a pleasure to session this chair on HRM, and you rightly said only one paper I could see that was clearly in line with the theme of the conference, but it's not the problem with the participants, because I saw that the brochure mainly talks about the role of technology, or it invites the topics wherein uh, the technology has been integrated into the HR functions, right? So those were the areas that were mentioned under the HR track when I went through the brochure. Uh, uh, now, in this particular session, I could see that majority of the papers basically focused on role of technology in HR. So some papers were talking about in general how technology has been integrated into the HR domain. Some specifically talked about artificial intelligence and its impact on some of the HR functions, like there was a paper on talent acquisition. And then there were papers on use of technology for mental health, right? For example, there was one paper on technology for advancing the elderly well-being, and then there was another paper which talked about, which was mainly a literature review that talked about use of technology in the higher education. So there was a mix of papers wherein the participant mainly tried to see how technology in the current times can enhance the HR function in the organization, how it can help people in the different age groups, how it can advance the higher learning outcomes. Apart from that, there were papers on, as I could see, there were general papers wherein they didn't talk about technology as such. So there was a paper on mental health and its role in work-life balance. Then there was one paper that talked about uh, the Bharatiya model of leadership based upon the Sarthi concept from Gita. So this was all about this session, and the main problem that I had been highlighting from the beginning is lack of a proper research framework being used in these studies. So some of you are PhD students and some of you have earned your PhD. So my expectations from these sessions were comparatively higher than what I could witness today. So I recommend researchers, because we as a researcher have a responsibility that we do responsible research that can act as a basis or foundation for the future researchers to build upon, right? And that we can do only when we perform our research with sufficient theoretical and methodological rigor. So if your goal is to do a PhD, if your goal is to publish in high quality journals, right, you have to first do a very high quality research, right? If you do quality research, then the outlets will automatically open for you, right? So my recommendation is you go to the top journals in your area, list down the top 10 journals from your domain, whether it is HR, whether it is organizational behavior, right? So there are different indexing systems which rank journals based upon their quality, right? For example, in management, I can say you can follow FT50 list of journals, you can follow ABDC A star and A category journals, right? Because reading right kind of papers is very important, because that forms a basis and you develop your line of thinking along those lines, right? So eliminate all kind of predatory journals, because nowadays it's very difficult for early stage researchers to actually differentiate between a quality journal and the predatory journals available in the market. And I'm very surprised to see a lot of such journals are listed in the UGC care list. So Scopus, UGC, these should not only be your criteria, or this is the minimum level that you can look at, but you should aim higher, right? So start with the top quality journals, read those papers, right, which are in your domain, go through them very thoroughly, then you will understand the structure of the paper. In most of the presentation here, I could not find a proper structure of a research paper, right? So the way introduction is written, the way literature review is conducted, and how it is presented in the paper, that is very important. So some of the presentations I saw, so they will simply write, this author said this author said that. This is not literature review. Literature review is about going through the papers and then presenting your own analysis, critical analysis of what others have said, right? Critical analysis involves understanding the problems with the existing papers, right? And then present your own account of those papers, right? So it's important that literature review is done in more scientific way, and hypotheses are framed with very sound argument and theoretical foundation. Theory is extremely important. Rarely paper talked about the underlying theory for the various hypotheses that they proposed. So it's not only the statistics or applying quantitative techniques that will help you to publish your papers in good journals. It's important. All good journals, if you see, they will first look for the how strong is your paper theoretically, how meaningful are your arguments, how meaningfully you have framed your hypothesis, building on the past researchers and based upon strong theoretical background, right? So it is important to choose right theories and integrate them well when it comes to framing hypotheses. Then comes methodology, and methodology needs not to be complicated always. It has to be in line with your objectives. Here, most of the papers started with introduction. Rarely any of the papers talked about objectives or research questions very clearly, right? So objectives, research questions should be very clearly identified, because the rest of your research journey will depend upon those. If your objectives are framed correctly based on sound literature review, sound analysis of the gaps in the literature, rest of the journey will be very easy for you, right? So give time in going through literature and framing objectives, right? Rest of the task is, half. If you do this, this is half done, right? Then comes the analysis part, choosing right tools and all. I know some of you may not be very good at statistics, but understanding research methodology is important. Learning a tool is not that difficult, right? But you should understand why we should use this tool, right? You should understand the right interpretation of those results. As a layman, you should be able to explain those results to a layman person, right? For example, if you are saying Cronbach alpha is this, regression coefficient is this, nobody will understand if you try to speak to a common man, right? So research, you should be able to explain to any layman in its most simplest terms, right? Applying techniques and everything is okay, but interpreting it in such a manner so that it's everybody who is going through your presentation or your research paper is able to make meaning out of it. Then comes the discussion part and your theoretical and practical implications. Some of you have discussed the discussions, discussed your findings in the light of the existing literature, but the theoretical and practical implications were missing from most of the presentations. What contribution? So that is the ultimate purpose of your research, right? What contributions you are making to the theory as well as practice? How are you advancing the existing theories? Or you are simply providing a test of existing theory and testing its validity or providing more evidence for its validity. That has to be clearly stated. Right? What value addition you are making to the literature. Otherwise, there is no use of your research, right? So either your paper is making some theoretical advancement or it is having practical implications for different stakeholders that can range from, practitioners in the HR field, as this being an HR session, or it can be other stakeholders from government, NGOs, and the other bodies who are working in your area, right? Unless there is a usefulness of your research for others, right? So that there's no point of doing such kind of research. So try to identify the areas where you can actually make a meaningful contribution in advancing lives, better lives for people, right? So choosing research problem is extremely important part of your research journey. Choose it wisely. Rest of the things will fall into automatically. So, Dr. Manisha, I think I have spoken enough. That's all from my end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And this shows that as a researcher, your feedback was also equally structured. On every aspect, you gave your insights and you said that what this researcher need to do. And I'm very happy that you said that you have high expectations at least. But although we saw the research in a very nascent form, but yes, we need this kind of platform and the resource persons like you who can guide our researcher and our community to do some meaningful and good research. And with a hope that all of us will be involved in some meaningful, good, and next time when we'll meet, we will have some good thing to share with ma'am. So on these big hopes, I am just winding up this session.
Yes,
Thank
so
you.
I shared my email ID. If any one of you wants to get in touch with me, you can contact me on this email ID.
Sure, ma'am. That's enough. I said, as ma'am is helping out all of you, please, if you have any kind of questions, you can reach out to ma'am. Ma'am is there to help you. And we have to help each other. We are hand-holding each other. Then only we can rise. And that is also a Bharatiya model.
Yes.
We go together. Okay, thank you all of you. That was indeed a good session. I will not say very enriching, but yes, it was very entertaining. And ma'am, your insights were really meaningful. Even I learned many things from you. Thank you so much for being with you. So we'll wind up. Thank you. Ma'am, I'll get back to you. We'll just connect with you.
Sure, I'll share this judgment sheet with you.
Yeah, sure, ma'am, sure. And all the other participants, I'll just say that at 3 p.m. we are going to have the valedictory of this international conference. So please join us and be there because we will be announcing the winners of this international conference. As it's a customary, we have to announce that. But all of you are in a winner in your own way. You have presented, at least you came up with your conceptualization, whatever you have done. So we'll be, although we'll be giving those in the valedictory session. So please join us at 3 p.m. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.